Well, welcome in wherever you are around the world for live coverage of the 24th Tour of Magnificent Quinhai. It is stage 6 we bring you for the final 2 hours. But yesterday was stage 5, and it was an incredibly tough stage which would see the riders go up as high as 12,500 feet. As expected, the peloton would be, well, fairly pedestrian, most of them just simply wanting to survive the first part of this climb. As expected, there'd always be a group of riders who would look to try and get away and pick up the valuable sprint ace points. The nomadic tribesmen of this people coming out and showing their full colours, enjoying the colour, enjoying the excitement that goes with professional road cycling. Euskotelu Stadi looking to try and get into the initial breaks. For Guillermo Silva, the race leader, and the man who won this race 2 years ago, and arguably Guillermo Silva's biggest challenge to this year's race, Henok Malulabrand, were marking each other throughout the day. Malulabrand did get into an initial break and got out to about a 30-second lead. A little bit of panic, a little bit of urgency coming from the Kaha Rural team, coming from the team of Guillermo Silva. But eventually the peloton would go to work, and most of the brakes would be shut down. Good performance coming from one of the 7 riders from Eritrea, Mwawi Kudus, picking up valuable King of the Mountain points. When it ultimately came down to a sprint finish, it would be a wonderful day for Carlos Garcia of Petrolite by the smallest of margins over Astana's Henok Malulabrand, Guillermo Silva picking up 3rd, meaning that Malulabrand would pull back 2 seconds on Guillermo Silva heading into stage 6. Good performance there from the New Zealander Aaron Gate, finishing 4th. And so as we head into day 6, it is Guillermo Silva who leads the tour by 8 seconds over Henok Malulabrand of Astana. Sitting in 3rd, Jonathan Casado of Petrolite. Wonderful opportunity for the people of Kangsha to enjoy the ceremony and the traditions that go with the professional sport of road cycling. Polti visit Malta. Well, they have been an incredibly aggressive team throughout this entire tour. They'll be looking to try and get Manuel Pineda back into the green sprint ace jersey, a jersey that he held after day 1 after winning the first stage. One opportunity today for Henok Malulabrand to try and steal this tour, try and get himself into the yellow jersey. It'll come up the Luho Yakao mountain at about 185 kilometres. That is where the focus will be for the Astana team. And from the Hyundai Hotel cycling team, the leading Asian rider, Saeed Savradeh of Iran. It's been a wonderful tour for Li Ningstar, another one of the Chinese trade teams, with both the King of the Mountain jersey on the shoulder of Simon Palou and the Green Ace Sprint jersey on the Danish rider Alexander Selby. Yesterday's stage winner, what a remarkable performance for him. A life-changing moment for Guillermo, for Carlos Garcia. They were brilliant on the front of the train towards the end of a very difficult stage. Temperature today, 16 degrees, but mercury is rising in the Finnish town of Gongji, with temperatures well into the mid-20s. Not a lot of wind on what is predominantly a flat stage where crosswinds can cause havoc. In fact, tailwind for much of today's stage. And our King of the Mountains leader, and thoroughly deserved too, Simon Pallot of Leading Star, the Swiss rider, so aggressive in stages 3 and 4. Saeed Savraday of Iran, the leading Asian rider in this year's tour, one of 2 Iranian riders. And he has been brilliant in most of the sprint finishes. Alexander Selby having 1 stage win, a 2nd and a 3rd. And Guillermo Silva, the man who finished 2nd last year, riding for Kaha Rural, leads this year's tour. Last year, it was his fellow teammate, Jefferson Cepeda, who would beat him by 1 minute and 31 seconds. Cepeda not in this year's race, an opportunity for Guillermo Silva to go 1 better, and for Kaha Rural to defend the title they won last year. Wonderful reception as the riders left the town of Gangsha. But with this stage being predominantly flat for most of the 232.7 kilometres, there was always going to be the opportunity for riders to try and go up the road early. "22 teams in all started this year's tour of Magnificent Quinhai, 154 riders. That has been severely reduced, with this race being one of the highest altitude stage races in the world, where riders must be comfortable with the head above the clouds. And a look at this year's stage, well, 232 kilometres, where for 185 kilometres of it, it is predominantly flat. Tailwind behind the riders, the occasional crosswind, but all the action will happen in the last 40 kilometres, with 1 climb that could ultimately determine the outcome of this year's race. The Lohi Mountain, just over 7 kilometres, at around a 7% gradient. They will take in the magnificent Quinhai Lake, largest salt lake in China. It'll be a predominantly downhill finish into the town of Gongji.